Hello and welcome to Pitchside. Now, what a performance by Peshawar Zalmi. They seem to be gaining momentum. They made some changes in their squad, a couple of new guys coming in, and as well as getting that balance right, which is why they were magnificent today. I've been joined by Mehran Mumtaz, who made his debut in the HBL PSL today. So, a huge congratulations to him, and what a debut it was, alongside Sana Mir, who's not a debutant on Pitchside. So, welcome to both of you, Mehran. Thank you so much for joining. आपका पहला HBL PSL का मैच और इतनी अच्छी परफॉर्मेंस, एक ड्रॉप्ड कैच भी हमने देखा आपकी बॉलिंग पे और एक आपने विकेट भी हासिल की, तो कितने नर्वस थे, कितना प्रेशर था कमिंग इनटू योर फर्स्ट गेम?
सबसे पहले तो अल्लाह पाक का शुक्र है कि चांस मिला इतनी बड़ी जगह। बड़े मैचेस से मैच नहीं खेल रहा था, लेकिन कोशिश कर रहा था कि यार बाहर अपनी बॉलिंग करता रहूं, फिटनेस करता रहूं, जब चांस मिले तो वो अवेल करूं। तो आज अल्लाह का शुक्र है चांस मिला है, तो कोशिश की थी कि यार जो मेरा राइट एरिया है उसको मैं हिट करूं। प्रेशर था क्योंकि सर्कल में बॉलिंग करनी पड़ी, तो किसी भी स्पिनर के लिए, और पिंडी की विकेट खासकर रन्स बहुत होते हैं इस पर, लेकिन प्रेशर था। लेकिन मैंने कोशिश की थी कि यार मैं अगर अपनी अच्छी लेंथ पे अच्छी करूँगा बॉल तो मुझे विकेटें मिलेंगी। तो वही मैंने किया, लेंथ पे बॉलिंग की और अल्लाह पाक ने आउट करवाए और अच्छी बॉलिंग करवाई।
What was that feeling when you were handed that cap? You know, I'm sure it's a very proud moment for anyone जब उनको एक कैप उनकी मिलती है, डेब्यू हो रहा होता है, तो उस वक्त आपकी क्या फीलिंग थी?
ये ऑनर की बात है कि मैं डेब्यू कर रहा हूँ और अपने शहर में कर रहा हूँ, और मुझे कैप जो हमारे पूरे पाकिस्तान के, पूरे दुनिया के बेस्ट प्लेयर हैं उन्होंने दिया है। तो ये मेरे लिए, मेरी फैमिली के लिए बहुत अच्छा मोमेंट है। मेरे भाई भी मैच देखने के लिए आए थे और मेरी अम्मी भी बहुत सारी दुआएं कर रही थी। अबू तो इस दुनिया में है नहीं, उन्होंने भी ज़रूर बहुत सारी दुआएं की होंगी, और अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि अच्छा रहा है। और इंशाल्लाह कोशिश करूँगा कि जब भी नेक्स्ट टाइम मौका मिले तो ऐसे ही अच्छी बॉलिंग करूँ, अपनी टीम को मैच जितवाऊँ।
मेहरान, आपकी बॉलिंग देखी मैंने पावर प्ले में, और सबसे अच्छी चीज़ जो मुझे आपकी बॉलिंग में लगी, नॉन बॉलिंग आर्म का जो इस्तेमाल था, इसको कितना आप अपनी बॉलिंग में जब प्रैक्टिस करते हैं इसको सोचते हैं इसके बारे में, क्योंकि जो लेंथ की आपने बात की उसमें एक्यूरेसी के लिए वो बड़ा ज़रूरी है।
देखें, जैसे कि मैं अंडर 16 अंडर 19 खेलते हुए आ रहा हूँ, तो वहाँ पे इन चीज़ों में बहुत काम होता है। तो जब मैं प्रैक्टिस करता हूँ तो अपनी बेसिक पे रहता हूँ यार, जो मुझे बेसिक जो मैंने करनी है रोज़ बॉलिंग, वो मैं करता रहता हूँ। और अपना नॉन बॉलिंग आर्म तो आपका इंपॉर्टेंट होता है। मैंने मुश्ताक भाई के साथ काम किया, सकलैन भाई के साथ काम किया, उन्होंने मुझे इस बारे में बहुत बताया कि यार अगर आपका नॉन बॉलिंग आर्म जहाँ फिनिश होगा तो बॉल ज़्यादातर वहीं गिरे। तो कोशिश करता हूँ कि नॉन बॉलिंग आर्म भी इस्तेमाल करूँ और जितनी मैं बॉल में वेरिएशन कर सकूँ वो करूँ।
बहुत ही आउटस्टैंडिंग आपकी बॉलिंग नज़र आई, और उस कैच के बारे में भी बताएं जो आपने किया है, एक दफ़ा निकला था हाथ से ज़रूर।
जी, आपको पता है पहला मैच था, एक्साइटेड था, सीधा जब लगा तो मैंने समझा कि मेरी लेफ्ट साइड पे आ रहा है, लेकिन वो राइट साइड पे आया, तो अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि वो पिक हो गया मेरे से।
लेकिन एक ये भी कैच था जो ड्रॉप हुआ था सलमान इरशाद की तरफ से, लेकिन आपने फौरन, जिसे कहते हैं ना, आपने इतनी कोई डिसअपॉइंटमेंट नहीं दिखाई, यू जस्ट sort of kept your belief in your bowling and got back to your mark and started running again.
देखें, आप खेलते हैं तो अगर आप खुद भी कैच ड्रॉप कर सकते हैं, तो अगर आज मैं किसी को दिखाऊंगा तो मेरे से भी हो सकता है कैच ड्रॉप। तो क्योंकि वहाँ पे मैं अच्छी बॉलिंग कर रहा था, मैं कोशिश कर रहा था कि यार अपनी अच्छी बॉलिंग करता रहूँ, और सलमान भाई से कैच छूट गया, कोई बात नहीं, आगे इंशाल्लाह वो अच्छे फील्डर हैं, आगे कैच मेरे पकड़ेंगे। वही अगर मैं उस टाइम उनको अगर कुछ कहता तो शायद वो आगे भी प्रेशर में आते और बॉल ना पकड़ पाते। तो कोशिश किया कि यार अपनी अच्छी बॉलिंग करूँ और एंजॉय करूँ अपनी बॉलिंग को।
अच्छा, पिंडी की विकेट इतनी आसान नहीं है टू बोल, यू नो, व्हेन यू लुक एट द काइंड ऑफ रन्स दैट वी हैव सीन ओवर द इयर्स इन द एचपीएल पीएसएल, इट्स ऑलवेज अ हार्ड वन टू बोल एट। बट आपने जिस तरह से आज बॉलिंग कराई, आपकी कोई डिस्कशन हुई थी प्री मैच, यू नो, कोई एक्सपीरियंस आपको पास ऑन हुआ, वो किसी बॉलर से या किसी कोई हेल्प मिली हो?
देखिए, मैच से पहले जैसे हम आए थे तो मैं उसामा भाई के साथ मिला था, उनसे पूछा था कि मैं पूछता रहता हूँ जो भी मुझे बॉलर मिलता है, वो जूनियर या सीनियर, मैं सबसे पूछता रहता हूँ। तो उन्होंने कहा था कि यार अगर आप स्टंप्स में रहोगे और टॉप ऑफ द स्टंप करोगे, मेरे जो बाहर से हमारे प्लेयर आए हैं, डेन मॉजली उनका नाम है शायद, वो भी उन्होंने मुझे बताया था कि अगर आप टॉप ऑफ द स्टंप करोगे तो इस विकेट पर ज़्यादा अच्छी बॉलिंग कर सकते हो। तो वही किया, अप्लाई किया, और अल्लाह पाक ने सक्सेस दी उसमें मुझे।
और ये बताएं कि बाबर के होने से एज अ कैप्टन, यू नो, लाइक ऑब्वियसली यू सी कि ही इज गॉट अ यंग टीम एट हैंड, यू नो, जिस तरह साइम अयूब हो गए या मोहम्मद हारिस हो गए, अभी रिलेटिवली यंग हैं, एंड देन यू नो न्यू इंडक्ट आरिफ याकूब, खैर मतलब इन सेंस के एचबीएल पीएसएल का तो उनका इतना उस तरह से एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, एंड देन देयर इज यू एज वेल। सो उनके होने से कितना वो है, व्हाट इज द काइंड ऑफ इन्फ्लुएंस दैट ही ब्रिंग्स इनटू द ड्रेसिंग रूम?
जैसे आपने साइम की बात की, जब साइम आउट होकर आया तो थोड़ी देर बाद मैं उसके पास गया, मैंने पूछा कि यार आज विकेट कैसा है, तो उसने मुझे समझाया कि अगर आप स्टंप्स में रहोगे तो अच्छा होगा, आपको विकेट मिल सकती है। तो एक तरफ की लॉन्ग बाउंड्री थी, एक तरफ की शॉर्ट थी, तो मैंने कोशिश की उसको यूज़ करूँ। जैसे बाबर भाई की बात की है, वो हमेशा ही कॉन्फिडेंस देते रहते हैं और जब अंदर आए तो उन्होंने मुझे यही कहा कि अपने पर बिलीव रखना है और जो तुम करते हुए आए हो वो तुमने करना है, और सबसे कॉन्फिडेंस मिला, अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि परफॉर्मेंस अच्छी हुई है।
बात करी है ज़ैनब, आपकी यूथ की बात करी, आपने और हसीबुल्ला ने मिलके एक रिव्यू लिया था, बाबर फौरन मान गए थे। रिव्यू की बात कुछ कहा तो नहीं बाबर ने?
नहीं, कुछ नहीं कहा। वो हसीबुल्ला था, कह रहा था कि यार ये हो सकता है आउट, तो मैंने कहा अगर ले लो, तो उन्होंने कुछ भी नहीं कहा। उन्होंने यही कहा कि अगर ये आउट होता तो इंपॉर्टेंट विकेट थी रिजवान भाई की, वो सर्कल में अगर मिल जाती तो।
चलें ठीक है, ये he's already got a very mature head on his shoulders, Sana. I mean, that's what we can see, and he's got a lot of vibrance about him. So, thank you so much, Mehran. We wish you all the best for your career. आपने बड़ी अच्छी performance दी, and I'm sure कि आप और भी इस तरह की मज़ीद performances देते रहेंगे. But thank you so much. So there you heard it from Mehran Mumtaz. He was quite spectacular today to be able to perform like this on his HPL PSL debut. I'm sure he's got a long career ahead. But where does Peshawar Zalmi stand now on this league table after this win is what we'll have to see. They are now on 9 points, I believe, with Quetta Gladiators. Multan Sultans right at the top with 12 points. And you've got Islamabad United, Karachi and Lahore at the end. Second points, you've got Quetta Gladiators. And then Peshawar Zalmi, they seem to be catching up pretty well. You know, the kind of performances that we saw today and all of the balance that we were talking about in their squad, which was missing just by having Mehran Mumtaz and a couple of changes, they seem to go a long way for them. We've now been joined by Mark Butcher on pitch side. Butch, they made the changes that were required. Peshawar Zalmi, Mehran Mumtaz came in, Naveen ul Haq came in. All the changes that they brought in seem to have worked well for them.
Yeah, I thought it was a really hungry performance from them tonight. I think they would have been very disappointed with the showing against Islamabad United in the derby yesterday, and it showed. You know, the fielding was sharp, the bowling was fantastic. I thought Ahmed Jamal was brilliant with the ball. Naveen bowled superbly along with Mumtaz there to drag things back after Multan got off to a flyer. So all in all, I thought it was a fabulous performance. With the bat, perhaps they faltered a little bit. They might have got 220 at one point, 230 even, but they were pegged back by Multan Sultans, who, let's not forget, are a very, very good team. So you don't expect them to roll over and die, as they didn't at the back end there with the bat, which made it a fabulous contest and great entertainment for everybody.
Well, one thing that's worked for Peshawar Zalmi is the option to bat first. I mean, we saw that they opted to field first, considering the conditions in Pindi, and just generally chasing becomes easier. But for them, that's the one thing that's going well for them. You know, they've been batting first and winning games.
They have won 4 games batting first, and when you see Babar and Saim Ayub together, you see how dominant they have been to the bowlers, and under lights the Pindi Stadium has offered more for the bowlers. But when Babar comes out to bat, he is the difference between both the teams. He's still the leading run scorer in this tournament, and his partnerships with Saim have been brilliant. He plays unorthodox sometimes, but mostly it's cricketing shots all around the ground, and his consistency has been unbelievable.
It has indeed. I mean, you talk about Babar Azam, one thing that really stands out about him is his ability to score in every single game. You know, you might talk about his strike rate, you might talk about other things, but he scores the runs, and that pretty much tells you the story. 394 runs in the HPL PSL, and it's almost like he is the backbone of the side when it comes to the batting. I mean, he scores runs and they get that stability at the top. Butch.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, he ran himself out for naught yesterday, and we saw what happened. Nothing. So, listen, he's a fabulous player. The strike rate is actually on the way up. He's actually looked as though he's more comfortable taking the odd risk from time to time now. He doesn't take on all of the responsibility for run scoring. I think that's something. It's not about Bubba being selfish. It's about him feeling that he has to score all the runs, and if he doesn't, then his team won't get over the line. Sometimes as a captain, you've got to trust your other players and take a few risks yourself. And in doing so, his strike rate's on its way up, and he's still scoring more runs than anybody else. There's daylight between him and the next guy.
Talking about trust, there's one guy who Rizwan's been trusting a lot, and it has paid off. Osama Mir, I mean, the kind of performance that we've seen from him in this HPL PSL. Even today, Sana, he got the wickets. He went for runs, as you'd expect with a leg spinner, but he got the wickets in the end.
What I really like about him is that he's attacking the stumps. He's got his length forward. As a spinner, you don't want the batters to really cut or pull. So what he has been really good at doing is that he has been going full and attacking the stumps all the time, and that's why he's been able to ask questions and take wickets. This was another example of how he has been still bowling up while getting hit for sixes down the ground.
Well, that's a fair point that you make about him being attacking and not bowling those defensive lines, which is why he's right up there amongst the wickets. He's got 18 wickets, the most in the HPL PSL 9. So augurs well for Multan Sultans, because it was a rare bad day at the office. They've been generally very good. But just on Peshawar Zalmi, then Amir Jamal getting those wickets in the middle, Butch, I mean, that was crucial, Naveen. So it just seems like, you know, the one area that we were all talking about, their bowling, you know, is lacking. It seems like they've got a few options now.
Yeah, they've got plenty of options. Mumtaz is a fab. I was so impressed, not with just him sat here talking to you guys and how mature he was, but how mature that performance was from a young guy on debut against some of the, you know, the big names that he was bowling against. Real control. Turned the ball on a pitch that hasn't really offered a great deal of spin for anybody for a long time. Bowled it at really good pace. So that was fantastic, and they'll be able to use him in different ways in different matches. You know, here it was really important that they stopped the run flow out of the power play. So he got through his 4 before the halfway point. But there will be times when they can use him through the middle and the back end of the innings as well, and he should be able to do just as well with that. He was a nightmare for the right-handers. Naveen was superb. Amir Jamal is an all-rounder. He's just proved it, hasn't he, over the last 2 days, first with the bat and then with the ball, is a real significant force if he can maintain that sort of consistency. And yeah, they're a good team. And the thing I loved about them the most today was just how hungry they were in the field. I thought it was a magnificent fielding performance. Asif Ali's catch has probably won them a game. You know, that ball goes for 6. They only lost by 4, only won by 4 runs. There was the difference between them. They took some brilliant catches. They dived around. They stopped everything. They supported each other. I thought it was a terrific performance all round.
There was a glimmer of hope, though, for Multan Sultans when Ifti was hitting. You know, Ifti mania. We talk about that, Sana. I mean, he showed what he's made of today. We've seen him do this again and again at times, but he was literally taking the game away from Peshawar Zalmi.
He has definitely made a statement. He needs to be up in the batting order. The way he batted, the way he was going after the bowlers, and you see the maturity now in his batting. He is using the crease, not only hitting on the leg side, but he's opened up his offside as well, and the rotation of strike has been really good as well. So overall, Iftikhar has really made himself a proper middle order batter, not just a hitter in T20 cricket.
Well, 23 were required of the final over, and Salman Rashad had a task at hand, and he managed to save the day for them.
He did? Well, yeah, I mean, look, you're always backing the fielding side when you've got, what, 23 to defend. But he'd had a bad night, you know, he'd had a rough old night when the rest of the bowling attack had done particularly well. And so to get that responsibility and by and large to absolutely nail it, that low arm allowing the ball just to arc in towards the right-handers, cramping them for room, getting the ball up in the block hole, meant that he saw them home. It doesn't matter whether it's 4 or it's 1, as long as you get the 2 points.
Yeah.
So he can be very proud of the fact that he came back and was able to close that out, because that could have finished him off. You know, the confidence hit that you would have got from losing a game with 23 on the board would have been huge. And consequently, he's got the opposite of that, which is he can hold his shoulders back, hold his head high and say, listen, I was part of that win tonight, and we've just turned over Multan Sultans for the 2nd time.
Well, it helps to have Darren Sammy in the camp. You know, in terms of motivation, there's no better guy than Darren Sammy in the camp. He's just got that ability to instill self-belief in the players, Sana. He's great at that.
He's been talking about Salman Rashad all this time, how he will be the death bowler, and he has been given that opportunity, and the only over he bowled from the bigger boundary, he was able to deliver.
All right, we're talking about the HPL PSL. We've got a massive day tomorrow. It's a double header, so we'll be seeing you guys shortly, actually, in just a couple of hours. It's Quetta Gladiators, and they are up against Karachi Kings, who will be very determined to make their mark, because it's all about those playoffs. So the situation is still pretty much open for everyone to sort of come out and play their best game. And then later on in the evening, we've got Islamabad United in action once again, and they are up against Lahore Qalandars. Well, the interesting thing is that if Quetta win tomorrow, they qualify for the playoffs. So the top 2 spots will be sealed, and then it's really about who's going to be making it to the next 2.
Yep, 3rd and 4th. Lahore are pretty much out of it. I think mathematically there is some way that they can sneak through. I don't know whether that's changed tonight. But if they lose tomorrow, they're out. So that's a massive game for them. Karachi are on the outside at the moment. Peshawar and Islamabad are just swapping places with every game that goes by at the moment. So it's huge for both Karachi and for Lahore. I think if they falter tomorrow, it might well be curtains for them.
Quickly, Sana, then, who are your other top? Who's your top four? I'm not going to ask.
The top four are already there. I think Karachi and Lahore are struggling. But Peshawar, if they had won with a bigger margin tonight, they could have sealed their spot in the top four. But I think the top four is already in the top four.
All right, Peshawar is definitely picking up their momentum just at the right time. You know, saw a brilliant game today. They brought in the A game definitely, and the crowd was absolutely went berserk. Lots and lots of Zalmi fans. Thank you so much for your thoughts, Butch and Sana. We'll be back, like I said, once again, because we've got a double header tomorrow. All the action continues. We will see you tomorrow. It's goodbye from all of us here.